Hello and welcome to the Enterprise Talk Conversation Series, a peer knowledge resource by the CXOs for the CXOs. Now to our host, Kanika Goswami.
Hi everybody from Enterprise Talk. Today we have Sanjoe Tom Joes. He's the Chief Executive Officer of Talview, which is a company that is transforming the talent acquisition industry with technology. And this technology focuses on reducing time to hire. We will be discussing with Sanjoe about the main HR challenges for IT and ITS companies in this year, in 2021, and how does he plan to help enterprises overcome them. Hi Sanjoe, how are you today?
Hey Kanika, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. So first of all, I wanted to, you to tell us something about Talview and how are you doing things differently from other hiring companies across the globe?
Sure. So, I think the fundamental difference between what we do at Talview and what most of the other companies in the space do is our single-minded focus on time to hire or speed of hiring as the North Star metric for recruitment. We started Talview with the mission to make professional careers more accessible, help people break barriers, cross divides, and have better access to jobs. And we saw that to make that happen, the core ingredient is to ensure that the employers are able to spend sufficient amount of time to give everybody an equal opportunity. And if you look at recruitment today, there are different metrics which enterprises focus on, from quality of hire, candidate experience, cost of hire. But we saw that time to hire is like a North Star metric because time in itself is important. You always have limited time and have a lot of emergency, or I would say urgency, to fill a role as soon as possible. But it also has a significant impact on other key metrics. So, for example, if you look at quality of hire, the best candidates are available in the market today only for 10 days. And if you have a hiring process which is 45 days long, your ability to hire the best candidates are significantly limited. The same way, if you look at candidate experience, 6 out of 10 candidates drop off from the hiring funnel when the hiring process is too long, because they have other opportunities which they are in discussions with, or they just don't associate with the company and their brand anymore. So we saw that by helping companies to take control of time to hire, we could help them to take control of their entire hiring experience and also help them to be a lot more efficient so that they can provide an opportunity to a much wider set of candidates. And that's what sets Talview different from most other companies in the space.
Oh, that's very interesting to know. And I'm sure our audience also found it very interesting and brings a lot of value add to them. So now I just wanted to ask you, what do you feel are the hurdles in the path of HR while recruiting especially in today's dynamic enterprise ecosystem? Things are changing, things are not so great in some places, things are doing much better in some others. It is not what it used to be 2 years ago. So what do you feel are the new hurdles here?
I think especially in the context of right now, given that we are just coming out of a pandemic and where it fundamentally shifted the way in which enterprises look at whom to hire and how to hire. I think that it's a new challenge in front of the recruitment fraternity to ensure that in an environment where remote work and flexible work is more acceptable and in many ways celebrated, how do they enable enterprises to find the right talent irrespective of their location, time zone, all of those aspects? And that's probably the newest challenge added to the kitty of I would say large set of challenges for recruitment fraternity. But traditionally, if you look at how recruitment has evolved, and if you look at the role technology has played in transforming a lot of other different functions, for example, sales or operations or even finance, I think recruitment in general and HR or HR in general and recruitment in particular has not received the kind of attention from more established enterprise technology providers for two reasons. So one is recruitment was always seen as a cost function, a function where you are mostly having people whose primary job is to get candidates to come in for an interview, and if you like that candidate, to convince them to get an offer. So it was seen as a very transactional job compared to being this strategic function, which is going to help you build great teams, and through that build long lasting companies with significant competitive advantage. I think that undermining the importance of recruitment has led to underinvestment in terms of technology from organizations, and in and as a result of that, I would say underinvestments from the leading technology providers. So that's what we believe is one of the most important challenges. So whether it's enabling recruiter efficiency or creating great experiences, because uh, most candidates consider candidate experience or recruiting experience as a key, not just for accepting an offer, but even we have seen that it has a significant correlation to how long a candidate stays with the company. So from that standpoint, I think the technology has been a great inhibitor. The other aspect, and this is kind of, I would say, a derivative of lack of good technologies, or lack of seamless technology experience, is that most HR or recruitment functions operate in a vacuum when it comes to data. Most other functions, they have a seat at the table in the most strategic discussions, because they have systems which are allowing them to extract data, which is giving them ability to provide a lot more insights to the organization when it comes to strategic functions. But recruitment, being underserved from a technology standpoint, has very limited access to data, and as a result of that are not able to be that strategic function which is bringing in deep rich insights, which is helping in organization building. I would say broadly these are the two challenges, and given the environment where we are in today, where we want to build a world which is less biased. We want to build a world where everybody is everybody has equal opportunities. Everybody gets a fair chance. I think recruitment is expected to play a larger and larger role in that context as well. And that's again, I believe, an area where we see that some of the organizations are getting challenged. But again, technology can be a great leveler when it comes to establishing fairness and eliminating bias in terms of talent decision making.
And do you think that the pandemic has driven any particular challenges in addition to these, technology not being adopted optimally or whatever? Do you think that there are any special challenges at this point in time?
I think yes, I did briefly touch upon it in the last answer, but essentially, if you look at how traditionally teams were built, it was always assumed that for a team to be efficient, they have to be at the same location, they have to be in person and work together. But I think what the pandemic has shown us is remote teams are as effective, if not more, in a variety of job roles. And there is a significant expectation now from the employers or the organizations that okay, we want to bring in the best talent irrespective of their location, irrespective of their time zone. And that puts a new kind of challenge in front of the recruitment organization, because they need to now change their processes, whether it's the tools they use, whether it's the experiences they create. They need to relook at redesigning all of those aspects. And so one of the things which I come across often in conversations with customers is in a traditional hiring experience, a large part of the candidate's decision is based on their in-person interactions with the hiring manager, the in-person interaction, even with somebody who is greeting them, maybe a receptionist or somebody who the first person they meet when they walk into a employer's office for an interview. But those experiences are not there. So a lot of this implicit understandings which the candidate derive based on those unstructured interactions are missing. So the organizations need to be more proactive in uh, creating and curating an experience which gives the candidate insights into the culture, the organization, the environment. I think those aspects are becoming more and more important, and recruitment. I think for the first time is also challenged to think about experience very differently from what they're used to, and most often they have I think the experience was organic, but they need to be more proactive about building those right experiences.
Yeah, and I'm guessing this kind of a strategy is going to be staying around for a while, so that will be a good learning for the recruiting departments. So, and how do you think enterprises can reduce their hiring time while also optimizing their hiring budgets?
So I think the fundamentally we believe in an approach which we call insta hiring, where it's a combination of three things. We call it the three propellants of insta hiring. The first one is remote. Today, a lot of time is spent within the hiring process in terms of expecting your candidates to take a day's leave and travel all the way to employer's office, even for a first round interview. Candidates most often are not able to do that, and that adds to significant delay in the process. So ensuring that the candidates can be part of the hiring process, complete steps on the go wherever they are, irrespective of when they are free during the day. That adds a significant, I would say, lever, or removes a lot of friction from the hiring process and makes it faster. The second aspect is automation. Again, unlike most other business functions, recruitment has seen lesser amount of automation. There are a lot of routine or mundane tasks done by recruiters today manually, like matching of a resume with a job description or scheduling of an interview, which can be or easily automated with the help of technology. And instead of a recruiter doing this task sequentially from 9 to 5, a bot can do this 24/7 in real time, and in parallel the bots can process hundreds of transactions in parallel. So looking at the hiring process and seeing where all are the opportunities for automation and removing those dependencies or bottlenecks can significantly again fast track hiring. And the third component, which is especially true for larger enterprises in high volume hiring, that's a segment we work most with. There is a lot of opportunities for reuse of data which is getting generated within the hiring process. So if you see a typical enterprise organization, they have 8 to 10 candidates at the top of the funnel. One of them end up joining, but there are always 3 or 4 candidates who are a good fit but did not end up joining because of timing or location or budget, or maybe one skill set did not match. Traditionally, what would happen is 2 months down the lane, when there is a new opening similar to the previous one, somebody from the employer would reach out to that candidate. But when the candidate comes back in, because there is no record of what has happened between the candidate and the employer, the candidate is expected to go through the same process again and again, same interviews, same assessments. But on Talview, we enable the concept of reuse, where when a candidate comes back, the hiring manager has the ability to pull out their past interview recordings, their assessment reports, and say that, hey, this candidate can move to a step 5 or a step 7 rather than starting from scratch. And that significantly shrinks time to hire for these customers. So remote, automate, and reuse, we believe, are the strongest propellants which can drive speed of hire significantly for enterprises.
Right. So, at what steps do you think can enterprises take to ensure that they do not lose their best employees while the industries are still in crisis? Attrition rates will be higher. How do you retain your best talent under such circumstances?
I think this is often an overlooked aspect. You spend so much of time in engaging and bringing in the right kind of people to your organization, but often ignore them post that, especially when it comes to so you hired somebody for a particular role. They initially thought that's the right role for them, but after a while, if they realize that there is something else they want to do, many times the enterprise is already hiring for that role somewhere else within the organization. But it's most often more difficult for the existing employee to get into that role than somebody from the external world. So those are the kind of I would say low hanging fruits which enterprises can tap into to ensure that they are able to retain their employees better. And now, given I think the pandemic and the change, while a lot of enterprises are also pushing for more flexible work, remote work, for work from home, the associated aspect of employee engagement and ensuring that employee experience is the best has to be looked at very carefully. You cannot be reactive about how you're um, building employee experience when you are shifting the way in which you work. And I think the more proactive you are in terms of curating the right kind of experience, ensuring that the human touch is retained in every aspect of employee experience, even when they are working remotely or working from home, becomes very crucial. So I think investment in, I would say, long term benefit or long term success of the employee is as crucial as I would say ensuring that you bring in the best candidates into your organization during the hiring process. So you can't ignore one at the cost of the other.
Right. You had mentioned earlier, Sanjo, that technology has not been leveraged enough for recruitment processes in organizations as much as it has been used for other enterprise processes. So, how do you think enterprises can leverage the newer technologies like maybe artificial intelligence and automation to transform the recruitment process? And if not these, then which technologies do you think would work the best for the requirement of this particular department of any company?
Yeah. So the way I look at it, I generally put applications of AI or machine learning or some of the latest technologies within any business function, and in this context, for recruitment, into two buckets. So one is in terms of what can be automated to drive efficiency. So we spoke about how, for example, matching of a resume with a job description at the top of the funnel during the hiring process can be automated with the help of technology. It requires basic natural language processing, basic understanding of I would say job requirements by the machines based on natural language understanding, along with continuous learning with the help of machine learning to ensure that you're finding the right profiles without the need for a human intervention at the top of the funnel. So though aspects like that are easily achievable today with the help of technology, with whether it's machine learning or other aspects of AI like natural language processing. The second bucket is when it comes to uh, assisted decision making, especially when you're making decisions like whom to hire or comparing between two candidates. Technology today can provide you a lot of insights on how you can objectively compare two people. So, for example, behavioral fitment or the candidates, how strongly is the candidate's behavioral profile is aligned to the requirements of a particular job is one of the most important criterias for job success. But we as humans are not, unless you're a trained psychometrician, it's very difficult for you to make an informed decision or an objective judgment about somebody's behavioral fitment for a particular role. But there are today technologies like psycholinguistics, and at Talview we provide an offering called Talview Behavioral Insights, where we use again natural language processing and machine learning to build a behavioral profile of a candidate based on the interview process, and then that is objectively matched against the job requirement to give a recommendation on how good a fit the candidate is for that particular role, and that becomes a crucial input for the hiring manager when they are trying to make decisions or compare between candidates. So I think these are the two areas where technology can be leveraged significantly. And in addition to this, the aspect of data analytics, which is many people call it affective AI, or many call it prescriptive AI, where technology can also look at a larger picture and give you insights which probably you're not even aware of, or about what's happening within your processes, what's happening within your people. Those are all interesting applications which I believe are emerging as we speak.
Right, that was an interesting answer. And thank you so much, Sanjo, for your time. We have some very illuminating information that I think most people don't think about when you look at an enterprise process. The recruitment process is, one which is not really, which doesn't usually get so much focus every time. So thanks so much for your inputs, Sanjo, and for your time.
Thank you. And it was a pleasure being part of this podcast, and hope I was able to add value for the last 20 minutes or so. Thank you.
Oh, of course, definitely. Thank you so much, Sanjo.
Thank you so much for being with us. Please do follow us on social media for regular updates and new content. Thank you so much for being with us. Please do follow us on social media for regular updates and new content.